And then following all the notes, including some verbiage on the pension plan, are the details to the non-major funds, as I mentioned before, highway aid, fire, road, parks and recs, and library. So that's kind of it, forward and backwards, bottom up and top down. Be happy to entertain any questions anybody might have.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Dustin?
I don't have any questions. Thanks, Joe.
Susan?
None from me, but thank you, Joe.
How about Rich?
No, this is great stuff. Just memorializing the great work the staff's doing and everything. And a couple of the big ones, the consistency, the 36K over 18 million. That's pretty consistent. And then the
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than smart.
and the 628,000 in general fund being actual versus budgeted. That's a good day.
Yeah. And the general fund is really where you kind of have to focus your attention.
Yeah.
You know, to try to match depreciation and debt service payments and all that other stuff on the government wide is kind of hard to budget and project. But the general fund and you know, outperforming your budget is really where you got to focus. Exactly.
The only question I might have is, College Township historically has been do long-term things with long-term dollars, aka debt service. You do a lot of municipalities and everything. How do you view College Township's long-term debt position in that lens?
I would say it's solid. It's pretty conservative. You know, one way you can kind of gauge that is Pennsylvania has a borrowing base, and that goes into the statistical report that you file every year with DCED. One of the parts of that statistical report, which I think might be a page in our report on the DCED and not included in here, is the borrowing base. So you take your revenues and you back out any non-recurring things. So ARPA things and those kinds of special grants and whatnot, those all get excluded. So you have a year over year you know, base revenue stream. And then you add that up and divide it by 3, and then that becomes the multiplier for the amount of debt. And I think you're way below your borrowing base if you wanted to have it. And that's before you get to what they call lease rental debt. But just your straight debt, I mean, I think your debt would be, I don't know, 18 million or something like that, if I recall.
Right.
And you have 5 or 6. So, I mean, you have money in the bank, you have borrowing ability, and you know you have some cash flow to do what you need to do.
Right. Right. Yeah. Again, thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
I appreciate the question. I also appreciate your candid answer. I will offer, since Rich and I have sat through a few of these, and Dustin, that position didn't happen out of luck.
I'm sorry.
Our long-term position that Rich was referring, that
Right.
didn't happen out of luck.
No,
That was intentional.
That's been years in the making.
Yeah.
Yeah, and staff's done you know, I mean, I've been working with Adam on his township and the water authority for many years, and I think he's a fine manager, and I'd say that if he wasn't here, or if he was here.
He's award-winning.
That too. Right.
So I also, just on behalf of council, I appreciate you coming up and doing this in person
Thank you.
this year. Your reward was you got to be the first thing on the agenda.
Usually I'm second, because Cynthia Hahn is here doing the CNET
Yes.
presentation every time it happens.
So we bumped her for it. I
I
think-
appreciate that too.
I also appreciate the different angle that you took in your presentation. I think not only was it helpful for us, but anybody listening from any other municipality, I think, would have gained some benefit from your presentation. So in the end, we have a clean audit,
Yes.
which is what we always hope for, and I wish we could take credit for it, but we can't.
Well,
Some of the folks that are policy-wise, policy direction.
yeah, I mean, there's always a tone at the top. All right, and if there's no tone at the top, then you know, the senior staff and the manager, you know, they have a different attitude, and then that gets pervaded down to the other people in the organization, all the way down to, you know, the guy, you know, working on the water company or fixing the sidewalk. So, you know, I think it does reflect on council.
I'll go with that.
If it was the other way, we'd have other results.
Don't get bonuses.
Did you have anything else you wanted to add before?
I did not. All that I asked is that council make a motion to accept the audit, the 2024 audit presented by Joe.
So
Okay.
moved.
Oh, I have a motion to accept the audit as presented. Obviously, then that would authorize the release to interested parties.
Correct. Then we would advertise in the CDT. It would be advertised or added to the website as well. And
We'll give you pretty copies with red letters
Yeah.
and stuff too, and manual signatures.
All right, I have that motion. I need a second.
Second.
All right, any discussion on the motion? Since it is action, I'm looking to anyone online who would like to address council prior to a vote. I'm also looking to anybody in the room. So if there's no further discussion, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thanks again, Joe. We're getting you out of here before dark this year.
Good, I got a trip to make. Thank you.
thank you, Joe.
That was our only special presentation. Tonight we have two plans. The first one is P1, a Half Moon Towing Preliminary Final Land Development Plan. I don't see Mr. Barr here. Is this yours, Mark?
Yeah.
All right. Does staff have anything to add?
I just have a brief introduction. This is the preliminary final land development plan for Half Moon Towing. As you see the location here off of Reese Road, this is located in our general industrial zoning district. The proposal is to construct a 3,000 square foot garage with associated parking and infrastructure. Staff has gone through and reviewed the plan. We have minimal comments left, as you will see in your packet. Just highlighting some areas. You can see the driveway that's coming in there, the building that is located here, and we also have associated landscaping that they're proposing and some extra lighting along the driveway there, and to light up the area for customers when they're coming to get their cars. So that's all I had, but Mark is here if you have any further questions.
Okay. This is a potential action item as we do have recommendation from staff and the planning commission.
And the planning commission, yeah, I apologize. The planning commission did see this and made a recommendation. They didn't have any extra conditions that they wanted to incorporate.
Okay, and we did see this as a sketch, which we appreciated. And it appears that one of the things that come out of the sketch has been addressed.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Mark, anything else to add before I open it up for questions?
No, pretty much, from the sketch plan, the comments we got from that, we addressed them, and everything's pretty much in good shape.
Maybe you could talk a little bit about the widening. The one comment had to do with the widening of the driveway in the one spot, so.
I actually did it in two spots, just basically, because it is a narrow driveway, and what we've done is we've had a pull-off at the entrance and one up on top, just in case any cars are coming or going in, just to give them an area to pull off. Like I said, the driveway's already there, it's in an existing access easement, and so it was just getting areas pull off if there would ever be any traffic conflicts.
And there's quite an elevation gain right there, right, Mark?
Yes, oh yeah. Yeah, it goes up pretty steep. On there. Like I said, it's already there as a gravel driveway and a gravel, like, I wouldn't say a parking area, but a great gravel area that's out there. So we are adding the garage is basically for basically to store his trucks in. There won't be any repairs, but there's also then going to be an office area in it too for the bays. And so when you do that, then you got to have handicap access. So we've added a handicap access in front of the office area and 5 other parking spaces across the alleyway there.
Questions, concerns for Mark, Rich, anything?
No questions or concerns at all on this. I am curious for a question of Mark. Did you hear your name was used positively at the County Planning Commission
No, I didn't.
with regard to sidewalks to nowhere?
Okay, no, I didn't.
Yes.
All right. We'll move on to Susan.
No, very well explained. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Mark.
So Rich got his plug in, I don't have anything else.
All right.
Sidewalks with less traffic.
Matt, was there anything that come out of the planning commission that we need to be aware of before action? I didn't see any, didn't appear to be any debate over this at the planning commission.
No, pretty straightforward.
All right, well, what we have in our packet then is a prepared motion, a prepared recommendation from staff and the planning commission. Would anyone like to move approval of the plan as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the Half Moon Towing Preliminary Final Land Development Plan dated June 16, 2025, last revised July 7, 2025, subject to the following conditions. 1, within 90 days from the date of approval by council, all conditions must be satisfied, final signatures must be obtained, and the plan must be recorded with the Center County Recorder of Deeds office. Failure to meet the 90 days recordation time requirement will render the plan null and void. 2, pay all outstanding review fees. 3, address to the satisfaction of the township engineer any outstanding plan review comments. 4, fully comply with College Township Code Section 180-12. 5, post surety is approved by the township engineer prior to recording. 6, provide an intent to serve letter from University Area Joint Authority. And 7, all conditions must be accepted in writing within 7 days from the date of the conditional approval letter from the township engineer.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dustin. Any discussion? Again, before council takes action, do we have anybody online who would like to address council prior to our action in the room? Seeing no one, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mark. Are you staying up there for the next one? Okay. That concludes our first plan that takes us to P2, Drivable Medical Center Preliminary Land Development Plan. Is there any significance to the fact that it doesn't also say final?
Yes, it's just a preliminary
We
for
are
right now.
going with a preliminary?
Yes.
Okay.
So you will see this again in that final plan form.
Okay, so we're in between a sketch and a final plan,
Yes,
sort of.
we are. So this is the preliminary land development plan for the Drivable Street Medical Office. It's located along Drivable Street between Independence Place and the Sam's Club and Walmart area. The zoning district is general commercial, and this is the construction of an 8,000 square foot medical building. The lot size is about 1 acre and has the associated infrastructure. Since council's seen this plan, it's been approved already back in 2009 and in 2016. Those approvals expired, so we are here again. And since the plan was updated, they included some ADA accessible sidewalks near the entrance and relocated the sidewalk and adjusted the parking on the lot. And I will turn it over to Mark to see what else you have to add.
Okay, yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good summary. Probably Eric and Rich have probably seen this the 2 other times already. But it's basically to get that same plan that the approval had expired and the property owner wanted to get that renewed. And it is just, basically for that 8,000 square foot medical office, the parking off the gravel, this stormwater basin in the front of the property, takes care of that. Access off the Drivable sidewalk out to Drivable and along Drivable street, and miscellaneous the landscaping that's required for the site. So, yeah,
That's it?
Yeah.
Well, since you mentioned that Rich and I have already seen this, we'll let Susan and Dustin have first crack at it.
I don't have any questions. It's been before council, and this is not a final land development approval plan, so no questions at this time.
Yeah, I mean, my initial question was, I was wondering why, there wasn't a sketch plan, but then we understand that it was already approved. What's our time frame for expiration? 5 years?
Yeah.
So, interesting. Okay.
All right.
So do we think it's gonna actually be built?
I
Okay.
I have several projects like this that,
Yeah.
you back 2-3 times, and for that, some move forward, some don't, but
Yeah.
they wanted to get the renewal in and get that started.
I mean, I guess the thing that I just want to bring up, right, is form-based code, right? Obviously, it's in that area, even though this is a prior plan, it's still a new plan because it expired, right? So I would just encourage everybody to kind of think about it that way. It is a new plan because it expired, even though we've seen it before. That's all I have.
Well, no, that's a good point.
Okay. And the sidewalk connections from the street to the building, and the parking areas seem to be well connected. So I think that's one good thing about the
Good.
plan.
So, Mark, if the 5-year expiration hits after the recording of this plan, then you will be coming back under,
Different
zoning.
yes, correct.
and just a process question, why preliminary versus preliminary final? Was that a staff suggestion or project could?
That was actually a request by the developer.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. It just seems odd with a plan that is.
No, you haven't recorded preliminary
And I
plan.
don't think surety required, no, I don't think under preliminary surety is not required.
Yes.
Yeah, that's correct.
Financing.
No surety required under preliminary plans.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're spreading the time, adjusting that timeline.
Yeah, it seems that's the way it appears, yes.
Right. In some municipalities with attainable housing, you also have to make your payment for that as part of the final
Yeah.
process.
Okay.
So there's some financial decisions. with
Yeah, this
whether to-
plan gives them zoning protection for 5 years, is what it does.
Okay, yeah, so their foot is in the door here.
Yeah.
Okay, now that makes a lot of, those two things make a lot of sense then, okay. All right, then we have so few preliminary plans, were we required to take action on the preliminary plan?
Yes,
Okay.
council is required to, planning commission saw it, planning commission made a recommendation, planning commission will not see the final plan, it'll come straight to council.
Can
All
I-
right, go ahead.
Yeah, just process, what's the time frame that they have to submit the final plan by?
It's 5 years, I think it's.
So you got 5 years from the time of the preliminary plan to even submit the final plan.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think the only thing in your ordinance that is something similar where there's a requirement, I thought maybe is in the PRD ordinance, I think that's something of a time frame, but here it's just preliminary and get a 5-year period.
Yeah, Mark's right, there is a difference between the tentative plan and a PRD and the final plan submission, but I believe this falls just under the MPC and that requirement there for the 5 years.
Okay.
That's a good question. So what the developer has done is preserved his option to build this for 5 years.
Yes.
Okay,
He's made the investment too. Yeah.
all right. If there's no further questions, the chair will entertain a motion. We have one presented to us by staff, has a few more conditions than a few less conditions than the last one.
Mr. Chair, I recommend council move to approve the Drive-Over Street Medical Office Preliminary Land Development Plan dated November 15th, 2024, and last revised May 2nd, 2025, subject to the conditions indicated in the agenda package.
Second.
All right. Again, we have, before we take action, anybody online or in the room like to address council prior to the action? All right, then, all in favor of the motion as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mark.
Okay, thank you all, so, you have a good night.
That concludes our two plans. That takes us to reports. First item under reports is the manager's report. We have a written report in our packet. We have an assistant to the assistant manager here tonight. Should he desire to provide anything in addition to the written report?
No,
No.
no.
Does anyone have any questions then? We're not letting them off that easy, are we?
I don't know, it's kind of loaded up, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of comments.
Yeah.
Comments.
Questions for Don on a manager's report?
I guess the question is, how many things could he actually answer if we did have a question?
Well, I guess we'll
Probably
follow
none
up.
of them.
All
You
right.
give it the best shot.
No questions? Oh, come on. All right, Rich.
Yeah, so I see that Kimmel Bogret has started the steps and stuff, or no major change, that we're not gonna be able to meet the timeline that we laid out in the RFQ and all that as of yet. I don't know which one that goes to, Amy or.
I'd say it goes to Amy.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry, I was reading a memo. Yes, right where we were at, if the question was, are they still on schedule? Yes, they are. They've indicated that they're planning to provide some additional information regarding all the information that they gathered from the interviews with staff, and within the next, let's see, this is what the second, I think it's the third week in August was when they were intending to give us something, some type of report back. And then we'll go from there.
Great, thank you.
All right. Anything else under manager's report? All right. That'll take us to COG Regional, County, and Liaison reports. Looking at my calendar here, it appears that we had 3 COG committee meetings since our last council meeting. If I saw this correctly, COG Parks and Rec Governance Committee met July 23rd. Is that true, Rich?
Yes, yes it was.
Anything to report?
Oh, yes. After much effort, we endorsed a draft memorandum of understanding, or article of agreement, between the Parks and Rec Authority, the COG, and the member municipalities that are a part of the Parks program. And that was pushed out to the authority and those member municipalities for review and comment, and hope to see that that will ultimately end up at the general forum for endorsement, as well as I believe this council will also have to take an action authorizing execution of that, should it be approved. The other one that we did was the acceptance of parkland into the regional system. There was a very old document, a very thin document, and staff pretty much nuked that and started over. And we also finalized that and pushed that out with the authority document as well. So this, we should see it here, and we will ultimately see it at the general forum, I believe. But it's going to come back to us with comments, any tweaks we need to make before we send it on a formal train.
You're happy with it as drafted?
Yes. Yeah, a lot of discussion and thought and effort. Staff did a great job providing a base document, and then we went down through it and reviewed it, and hopefully we did a good job. We'll see when the comments come back.
I have a question on that. Does that document include, right, because, right, there was a precedent, I don't know if that was written down, that regional parks at each municipality would have one, right? Does that document have that?
No,
Okay.
no.
So where does that live? Does anybody know?
In
Perpetuity?
minds.
Informal
I don't think
agreements?
yes. I don't think
Okay.
there's any hard document that
Okay.
indicates that was a strategy, a goal, whatever
It was a
like that,
goal.
but it's not a
Okay.
thing. The big thing for the agreement between the authority and COG and member municipalities, it's basically memorializing how they've done business for a long time. And identified where there's been friction and tried to provide general language, not so specific that we're painted into a corner on how we do things, but and trying to future-proof the document that as much as we could with it and everything. But yeah, I'm not aware of any.
I wasn't aware of it until today, until I attended the Lucy meeting.
Yeah.
Apparently that was something that Ben's aware of.
Interesting.
Well, I will say it's nice to have long-tenured College Township reps involved in these. I think this is an example of where it benefits us. So congrats. This is significant. I don't know that people hearing Rich's report understand the significance of this and how long it's taken to get to this point. I know it's a rather broad effort.
Well, and you gave us a memo maybe a year ago on the challenges and the relationships between the entities and responsibilities. So that was very, very helpful background just to tackle this without the institutional knowledge. So.
Well, and we've had changeovers in staff and committee members and everything like that, but we've kept it on course. We made it through, as you recall from the general forum, we had the two endorsed or adopted matrix. Those are appendix of the document. That was one of the things we made sure. We went to the trouble of making them. Let's put them in there. And identified various things, and we were able to get through. And like I said, staff was great because it helps them.
They're new.
Well, it helps them. You know, it gives them something to reference back to. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing, kind of thing. So, and communication is a huge piece in the whole thing. More formalizing the need, the requirement to have good communication between the member municipalities, the authority, and the agency.
All right, any other questions for Rich?
Actually, I'm spoiled. I have another member of the governance committee in the room. Is there anything you might add?
No, I thought your summary was great, and I agree with Eric, this is a big accomplishment.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So, again, just to clarify what Dustin said, we're not to the point yet where we're identifying duties and we're identifying which parks fit into what classifications. We're just memorializing the responsibilities.
Well, actually, we took a crack at that as well.
Okay.
It's an appendix of the document so that it could be updated more readily than the base agreement. The base agreement can stay, it references the appendix lists, and it's a very thorough list of the parkland in the center region.
Probably, hopefully using some of the data collected during the study.
Comp study, yeah.
Comp study,
Yep.
good.
Yep.
Well, then
Yeah,
that's an even...
to include taking, one of the big things that came out of it is ownership. Who actually own,
Yeah.
It's pretty clear on the regional stuff, but on the small
Right.
pocket parks and that, it wasn't as clear, and now we have a running inventory of all those. Good reference document.
So how many different classifications are there? Because you could
I don't remember.
probably slice that a lot of different
Yeah,
ways.
it boiled down to two big pots, regional and municipal, and went from there.
When do we see the document?
I don't know, under the township hat, I don't know when that's gonna be on an agenda.
Sounds like a lot to dig into.
And the general forum won't be till after we get the comments back from the authority and from the municipalities, so that we can modify.
There was
if we
an
need.
intentional effort to keep today's agenda light.
Yeah.
So I imagine that some of those things that will show up in 2 weeks
Yeah, okay.
when all of our managers are here, right?
Huh.
Well, and
all right.
if we can get it before it goes to the agenda packet, that would be great, because it sounds like a lot to dig into for those of us who don't have that background.
Sure, it's
Yeah.
already been pushed out to the
Great.
authority of the municipalities. I
Get it
guess
from
we could
Katie.
ask the acting manager if we can get that pushed out.
Acting manager.
Definitely.
helpful for me, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, that had more to do with just the staff time and ability to prepare what we need,
Right.
you know, to take action, to discuss.
And this one sounds easy, it's already done.
All right. The next one up was HR on August 6th. Tracy's not here, so we can skip that one. And the last one that I had on my list was Lucy meeting, which
Oh, yeah.
happened earlier today.
Yeah, more parks discussion with Lucy. You know, and so this has to do with Hess softball field, right? And in terms of our regional growth boundary and our sewer service agreement, which I think we're all kind of familiar with. We've just been through that a couple months ago. So ultimately, right, so, you know, Harris Township wrote a letter for record, it's in the packet, really kind of pleading for, or not pleading for, but asking for long-term action on public sewer. So basically, the vaults are a short-term thing, right? So the DEP vault system is not a long-term solution. And so the discussion went into the long-term solution being public sewer, one being the safest and environmentally friendly option, you know, getting that into the Hess field. However, Hess, as we know, is outside the regional growth boundary. And the intent is to stay that way, but what they're offering is, or staff has offered as sort of a solution here, it would be to amend our agreement, the sewer service agreement, to allow an exception for the COG properties or parkland, however we want to do it. You know, this is kind of just in draft form at this point in time, right? So it doesn't bring the regional growth boundary, doesn't expand it, just really allows an exception. And we already have an exception in there now for anything that DEP, I believe DEP would say is bad, right? This happened over at Meyer Dairy, right, as one example, where they basically said your septic system's crap, it's failing, you need to be on sewer, right? You know, to put it bluntly. And so, no pun intended. But anyhow, so that's kind of what staff is presenting now at this point in time. Basically what that would allow is it would allow that to be then put through as a minor DRI, right, or a DRI light, what we were calling that kind of thing. The way the agreement is written now, that would require a major DRI process, which is a lot more extensive. And so that's how current as is, major DRI, proposed is creating an amendment within the agreement so that it can be pushed through as a minor DRI. So that would be.
And that would be an agreement on the sewer service?
The regional
area?
growth boundary and
On the
sewer
regional
service
growth
agreement,
boundary.
yeah.
Okay. And they're not two separate, I mean, I know that the lines are contiguous, but are there two separate agreements for those two separate?
There are different stipulations, right? If you were to extend the regional growth boundary the whole way out, that
Right.
includes other things like transportation things or like bike paths, stuff like that. Development, right, it allows all that farmland that's in between where the regional growth boundary lies and where Hessfield is to be open to development, things like that, right?
So this would be an amendment just to the sewer service agreement?
Yeah, to the sewer service part, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, but I mean, that's basically the biggest thing. So really what we need to know is there's a lot here, right? A lot to unpack it. You know, we kind of talked through it, right? Matt Herndon had a good thing, right? You know, just to kind of red hat it, if you will, right? Kind of talk about, you know, the other cost analysis and benefits. All right, well, what if we, you know, because it can be quite costly to run sewer, right? You know, we're talking millions of dollars, right? They said, well, what would it cost just to build softball fields somewhere else, right? That cost is really outweighing, and that's where that comment came up about, well, then Hess doesn't have a regional park either.
Harris.
Or Harris, yeah, yes. So Harris doesn't have a regional park if you do that, or, you know, the park is shrunk. The thing I also wanted to bring up that was a point made, and this was one of Harris's points that they really wanted to revert to kind of push through was, yes, you could not install our sewer system and you could go with a sand mound system because that's what it would perk to, and it doesn't perk for an in-ground system. However, if you do that, you eliminate one field totally. So that brings it down to 2 fields. And so you drastically reduce the amount of fields and purpose for the Hess softball field complex. And then also, another thing, the State College Borough Water Authority really doesn't like that because it's close to their wellhead system. So they don't like that. So, this is why they say it's the safest and the most environmentally friendly. So that was the big major, topic of discussion. There will be packets pushed out to our manager that will probably come to us on an agenda item to discuss this further. Yeah, so any questions on that?
Facility went through this like 3-4 months ago, and that's exactly it. The alternate field cost a ball field for the on-site and everything, and the vault had a 5-year egg timer.
Yeah, and I
if
remember
you
us
didn't-
talking about that.
Yeah, and if you didn't have that taken care of, you're out of business there. You're back to the other and everything. And so everything I've heard is full support for the long-term getting sewer there, but we have no idea about the cost of that. We have no idea, what other things are gonna come up and all that kind of stuff. And that's why facilities recommended an interim solution of the nicer bathrooms. But they also identified the issue that has now been resolved at the general forum, that we didn't have an approved master plan.
Yep.
So we were gonna put a restroom, but, the master plan might change. So that there was various blocks. The other blocks if you wanted to get money to do this, you couldn't currently because it's an illegal project, because you're trying to put sewer into a place that's not allowed to have sewer. And that's why the amendment to the agreement is the best path. And I don't even think it's a DRI light because it's allowed. If
Yeah,
it gets
we'd asked
excluded.
that question, right, because the exception, but, and we're gonna vet that out, and I actually specifically asked that question, because when I hear exception, I'm like, well, then it doesn't have to go through the process at all.
It's allowed.
Right, but, the thought was that it did still have to go through the process, which allows people to see it, but
It
staff's
should
gonna
be a
vet
very
that out.
public process, I agree.
Yeah.
With that, but it's
Staff's
not.
gonna answer that question for sure, and see how that works. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, the approval of the amendment is gonna be needs to be a very public process and everything before that's accepted. And I would only offer I'd already heard reservations. Everybody's afraid of taking that first step out of the circle and, that's gonna allow this, that, and the other thing. Well, no, not unless they're an exception, not unless they're a regional park facility. If they do, we'd probably approve it.
Yeah.
But that isn't gonna happen to the adjoining neighborhoods.
Well, yeah, and I really like the idea, right, because you could just say, well, why don't we just take the regional growth boundary over there, right? But don't forget, it's not just sewer, right? And
Well, that was
so,
my
that's the
question.
big thing, right?
Yep.
So that's why the exception probably makes better sense.
Yeah, it's similar to what we're talking with,
Up in,
form-based code and conditional use, very
Right.
hands-on and, all that kind of stuff, high visibility and everything like that, so
And have
versus
there-
expanded.
have there been other exceptions, other amendments made to the sewer service agreement? Just the sewer service agreement
I
to
think
accommodate, and has that
there's
been
something
limited
in
to
there, if
parks?
you read it, it's supposed to be contiguous to the regional growth boundary, right? And it's not, right? So
Right.
Hessfield is not contiguous to the line.
Right.
And that's why it would end up being a major, I think that's one of the things that
Oh,
kicks it
that's
up to
why
a
the
major
cost.
DRI, yeah.
And the cost to move the sewer out there.
Yeah,
Right, but the intent was to get it allowed so that then we can pursue money and.
So
do
the
this.
first step was getting the master plan approved at the general forum, which is now done. Now that we have a master plan, we can actually come up with a tentative plan for what it would look like if we have the sewer.
Right. Bump, bump,
Progress.
Bump, 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 yeah.
It's encouraging.
That is encouraging.
The discussion has been encouraging.
yeah. I mean, ultimately, right, I've always, been of the opinion if you can get sewer somewhere, that's probably the preferred, right? And, I think
Right.
we've had that discussion before, right?
Yeah, we have.
All of us. Any other questions on that?
No, but I will say that those of a planning mind are conscious of the fact that sewer means development, means sprawl.
Right.
So that's where the skill comes in, is how do you surgically address those without then, opening the door for what we don't want, which is inefficient land development.
Well, and it,
But I
but
think we're on the right track.
and it sounds like the protection there is if the regional growth boundary doesn't move,
Yeah.
it's sewer that exclusively serves a regional park. That's a really narrow definition.
That's why
Yeah.
it's encouraging
Sounds
that
very
people are
good.
thinking that way. And I always appreciate Matt's
Yeah.
approach that he takes. But honestly, to buy that
Well, then that's.
amount of
the point,
acreage
right?
within the sewer service
Yeah.
area, boy, that's a big check.
Yeah, that's a big check.
So until we know what sewer costs, it's hard to imagine that it'd be more cost effective to just buy
Buy
that
other land,
property.
yeah.
Well, and when
let
Matt
alone
had
develop it.
said that, my mind immediately went to, okay, well, what about Oak Hall? And does Oak Hall have more room to put more fields, right? You know, that was where I immediately went, but, you know, like something already bought and existing, then I think most other folks are thinking, okay, buy new and build a new park, right?
Yeah.
But,
Same
you know, I
with
think this
Whitehall.
is some of the cost
Whitehall,
benefit.
there's more land too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
yeah.
not opposed to backing away from something that's been worked on if it's not workable, but
But
on
it's
the other
already
hand, there's
built.
also,
Understand?
there's a master
Yeah,
plan. I mean, there's a lot
master
of work
plan.
that's gone into the
fields
development.
already exist.
Right.
Right, it's already an established parkland, it's not like, we're not in I don't think we're in the business of trying to take parkland away,
Right.
right, I think we need more, so, yeah, and I think Matt kind of, you know, asked that just to get that out there.
Sure. I mean,
right?
it's a great way to
It
look at
is.
it, the perspective.
Yeah,
Yeah, some
It's a good critical
Memorial Field
perspective.
is the one that comes to my mind. Everybody's, build a new, nobody else wants it next to them, number one, and then number two.
That's why it
it's
ended up staying where it's at.
right where it's at, yeah.
But you know, I now know what Dustin is talking about. Everybody having a regional park. He's
Yeah.
referring to the super regional parks, because way back when we were having that intense debate over borrowing money for the 2 pools and the 3 regional parks, it was much easier because Patton and the borough had the pools, College, Ferguson, and Harris had the regional playing field parks. So that's, I think, what you're referring
yeah,
to.
that's what Ben Estelle referenced.
Yeah, that is true. It was just a way that it worked out that it.
Gentleman's agreement, is that what you're saying?
Well, no, I wasn't gonna say
It made
that,
it
but
easier
just
for-
a reminder that Hess came in
At the last minute,
beyond the last minute.
but it made it easier to get the unanimous support needed
Right.
to borrow $10 million plus dollars to finish, to build those 3 parks, right after we had just borrowed a bunch of money for the pools.
But referencing the financing documents, the monies of that loan can only be used at Whitehall and Oak Hall.
Yeah.
Matt has.
Well, and the monies for
Yes.
the pool could only be used at the pool.
At the
So
pools, at the 2
It's kind of like,
pools.
Hess is a sub, those are all As and the Hess is a B.
Well, that's why I say it came in after all of that, and as such, it's had some issues. So the traction of the master plan and moving forward with stuff. You know, the only thing I'll offer is the fields are all changing, under the master plan, so.
Yeah, and I think that's, you know, to the point, right, that's why Matt asked the question, right?
Sure.
We're investing this many dollars, right, to go up to this master plan, right? And now we're being asked to invest this many more dollars for sewer. Would it just be more cost effective to do it
But the
somewhere
biggest difference being, we already own the land.
Yeah.
And land's a big, and.
else? Yeah, and that was
Land in the
Ben
sewer service area.
Estelle's biggest point.
Yeah.
Was, you know, to buy something, you know, and he said, okay, you know, if, to try to keep with that agreement.
Yep.
If we buy it in Harris, what is available, right? And then it's, you know, then if I go and try to buy it somewhere else, like just the land cost itself
Right.
is way, you know, skewing that whole thing.
Right. Well, if Harris feels strongly that they should have a regional park, then it takes a unanimous vote of the general forum to incur debt. So they have the veto, and, you know, like that UN Security Council, you know, kind of thing. They've got the veto.
A sliver of Oak Hall is in Harris.
Right.
All right, have we killed that?
Yeah, the other thing we covered real quick was the comp plan update. So it was review of the plan outline, review of the trend reports, just to give you awareness, and these are online. You'll start to see them come out. Some of them are already posted. You got land use, you got housing, you got demographics, you got conserves land, open space and rec, transportation, more coming. There's gonna be economic development one, there's gonna be an energy infrastructure one that kind of looks at, alternative energies and things like that, a couple others, so that's all I have. Take it.
Questions for Dustin? Okay.
Mr. Chair, I didn't attend a committee, but I did have something to report back to council, if I may.
Sure.
I attended a Center Lifelink event last night. So annually, they do a donor appreciation event, and I attended that last night. They're very appreciative of the donation that the township made last year, and so they emphasized that again last night. They talked about some of the volume of calls. They've had 3 years in a row with 7,000 or more calls, and they're on track to possibly exceed that again this year. They've already had 4,000 calls, and they have their busy season coming up. They're doing a lot more work in the education area, so their phlebotomy program and also their CPR program. So they've dedicated 2 part-time staffers to grow those programs. So they're working with other regional healthcare organizations, Mount Nittany, Penn Highlands, to get phlebotomy certified students out in there and get them jobs. So, they're looking at a variety of ways to continue to bring funds in outside of the memberships and the insurance reimbursements, but the insurance reimbursements are getting harder and harder every year as the insurance percentage rates go down, and they do get reimbursed on any calls that they get where they transport the patient to a facility, but if it's a call out and they're not transported, there's no reimbursement for that. So if it's an ALS call for someone and they don't get transported back to the hospital, there's no reimbursement for that. So they asked us to encourage residents to consider memberships, family memberships. If you do purchase a membership, which I think is about $95 a year for a family, any ambulance calls that aren't covered by insurance are written off, so there's no out-of-pocket cost to people. So they asked councils and boards to emphasize that and let the community know that service is available. So they're doing a good job, and they appreciate our support in particular.
We're lucky to have them. Yeah, like Susan, I attended an event, regional type event on Tuesday. Adam and I were invited to the Hamer Community Conservation Center groundbreaking. This was the Clearwater plan that we saw a while back. And I was asked to provide a few words along with a couple of other folks. And my comments were really in 2 areas. One, just expressing my personal appreciation for everything that Clearwater has done. And then from a township standpoint, no better example than when they stepped in and helped us come up with a very creative win-win solution with the Everhart rezoning and how their membership stepped up contribution-wise to purchase the conservation easement and give all the parties involved really what they were after. And then obviously just officially welcome them to College Township. I just want to read 2 lines from their website for anybody who's interested, don't know, is not familiar with what that is. The Hamer Community Conservation Center at Clearwater Conservancy is a 392 square foot, 2-story facility designed to serve as a vibrant hub for community engagement, environmental education, and conservation leadership. Anybody who's familiar with the building they're working out of right now, it'd be really hard to do one of those things, let alone all 3. And then located within the Spring Creek watershed, the Hamer Community Conservation Center will serve as Clearwater Conservancy's permanent headquarters and a hub for environmental education, collaboration, and on-ground conservation. The center will include 1, professional workspace for conservation staff and partners, 2, indoor and outdoor areas for public events, workshops, and learning, 3, demonstration sites showcasing best practices in land and water resource stewardship, and lastly, direct connections to nature through stream access. So needless to say, it was a very exciting event. for anyone, any conservation-minded folks in the area, particularly the long-standing staff and volunteers that have worked so hard over the years. That was it for me. That will take us then to, that already took us into staff PC and other committee reports. Staff or PC, or staff, anything, any other reports?
Not that I'm aware of.
No updates on sesquicentennial?
Yeah, actually.
Okay.
So Saturday, oh, Katie, do you mind?
No, go ahead.
No, okay. Saturday is College Township Night at the Spikes, so very excited for that. We have, our T-shirts we're giving away, some posters. We have 11 vendors coming that'll be there on the concourse. Thank you. And then we're planning our soup and song, which will be happening in Lamont, the Village Green, on Friday, September 19th. That's going to include soup catered from Harrison's. Sounds delicious. You get soup, bread, and then we're offering our mugs as well that we had made with our special logo. We'll be providing everyone tickets for $5, so that will give you a mug or soup, more soup, whatever you want to do. So it's going to be a family-friendly event, and we're really looking forward to it. There will be a sign-up sheet if anyone's interested at our table at the Spikes game on Saturday, just to kind of make some reservations to see if we're going to get a lot of folks to come out. So we're very excited.
Great.
Did I miss anything, Katie? No? Okay.
Anything else on the 150th? No?
We have our official event in November. We have several officials that have committed, so all 3 commissioners will be attending, as well as Representative Benninghoff. So.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So we're still planning that event. That's still in the works.
Really appreciate all the work everybody has done for that. And I know a lot of the residents have followed up with me after the barn dance, saying the same thing, sincerely.
Yeah.
All right, that takes us to PC.
Janet?
I'm sorry, well, or Janet.
Yeah, later.
All right, we'll leave Matt for the end. Janet?
Absolutely nothing. Our next meeting is Monday evening. We'll report after that.
All right, you heard that long discussion about Hess Field. I know you're the township park and rec, but I didn't know if you had any thoughts, questions, comments on what you heard?
No, the only thing I've seen in my travels is a number of years ago, I was up at Peggy's Cove up in Nova Scotia, and they had composting toilets for that site. I don't know if that's ever been knocked around, but you're still up against the issue of the wellheads for the State College water supply in that location. So that's the only thought that crossed my mind about the Hess Fields discussions.
Yeah. Certainly at least worth vetting, even if it's a short vet, the option. Okay, Matt?
Yeah, Matt Fenton, the Planning Commission. We met Tuesday night. We had an information-only presentation for the St. Ives Canterbury Crossing. I believe it's 18 townhomes. It's already been approved quite a while ago as part of a bigger plan. We continued our progress on the form-based code. We've been really talking about building size, lot density, building height, stormwater. So a lot of discussions, a lot of hard work, a lot of time. Does anybody have any questions about that?
Questions? Rich? Susan? Dustin?
So I was at the bank the other day and there was a lady, there's a lady in front of me.
Right into it.
There's a lady in front of me, you're all waiting for it. There's a lady in front of me and she handed the teller the debit card, said, I'd like to withdraw $10. And the teller said, no, to do that inside, you have to withdraw $200. So you need to go out to the ATM. And she's like, I don't really want to use the ATM. I got to get my car and all that stuff. She said, I'd like to withdraw all my money that I have at the bank. And the teller typed in and said, well, you have over $300,000 at this bank. She said, you're going to have to set up an appointment to get that much money. So she said, well, how much money can I withdraw right now? She She said $3,000, so the teller got the money, counted it out, and she's done counting it, the lady reached out and grabbed $10 and put it in her purse and turned around and smiled at me, and the teller said, is there anything else I can help you with? And she said, yeah, I'd like to make a deposit.
All right, that takes us, then, if there are no other committee reports, that takes us to item D under reports, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging report. Do we have one of those at this meeting? No?
It's in the packet.
Yes.
Okay. Anything to add beyond that?
I got a trivia question to add to that. Are you looking at the report? August 26th is Women's Equality Day. It commemorates the ratification of the 19th Amendment granting women the right to vote. My trivia question is, what year was that?
Not very long.
1920-something?
20-something.
Yeah.
1926?
1920 exactly.
1920.
Oh, wow.
That's all I have.
Wow.
Thanks, Dawn. You got a ways to go to catch Matt, but that's a really good start.
Well, I'm trying.
Yeah. Appreciate that.
1920.
Actually, this is also an opportunity for anyone in the public to address us on a diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging issue. I don't see anyone online. I don't see anyone in the room. Therefore, if there are no questions of Dawn, then we will close reports and move to the consent agenda. Tonight's consent agenda includes the three traditional pieces, first of which is minutes. Under the minutes, we have one item. We have the minutes. We have the July 17th, 2025 College Township Council regular meeting minutes. And then under CA2 correspondence, we have 8 items. The first of which is CA2A, a letter from Pantera Engineering dated July 14th, 2025, requesting to withdraw the Center Hills Country Club final land development plan. The second one is CA2B, letter from Center County Suicide Prevention Task Force dated July 1st, 2025, regarding Suicide Prevention Month. The third item, CA2C, is an email from Pennsylvania Municipal League dated July 15th, 2025, regarding appointments of voting delegates. The fourth item is CA2D, an email from Dan Materna dated July 17th, 2025, regarding the casino. The next item is CA2E, another email from Dan Materna dated July 19th, 2025, regarding casino. CA2F is an email from Christopher Pletcher dated July 21st, 2025, regarding Fogelman Overlook Park. CA2G is an email from Dan Lorch dated July 25th, 2025, regarding East Mountain Nittany Road. And then the last piece of correspondence, CA2H, is an email from Michelle Black dated July 27th, 2025, regarding First Avenue Road work. The third area of the consent agenda includes 4 action items, first of which is CA3A, Struble Road Stormwater Project Phase 1 bid. Second one is CA3B, Resolution R-25-17, commemorating the 250th anniversary of the founding of the USA. CA3C is Resolution R-25-18, recognizing September as Suicide Prevention Month. And the last item, action item under CA3 is CA3D, Mid-State Literary Council Park Sponsorship Request for Spelling Bee. Would anyone like to pull any of those items for discussion before we accept a motion, before the chair accepts a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I'd like to pull CA2H, the black email, and CA3D, the spelling bee.
All right, so CA3D, CA2H,
CA2C.
CA2C. Any other items? All right, so the chair will accept the motion to accept the consent agenda as presented minus CA2C, CA2H, and CA3D. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
So second.
All right. Discussion? Comment? Michelle, we're not accepting CA2H yet on this action. So all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries. Let's take them in order. CA2C, email from Pennsylvania Municipal League dated July 15th, 2025, regarding appointment of voting delegates. My understanding is Dustin and Adam. Dustin, you're planning to attend?
I'm planning to attend.
And so is Adam?
I think so. Yeah, I didn't know. Do you usually attend? Are you going?
I am not.
Okay.
Is Tracy going as well?
She indicated initially that she was, but
Okay.
Okay.
So one of you needs to be our voting delegate.
All right. That's why I brought it up. Yeah. Just make sure who was doing it. I mean, I can do it.
You were Adam.
And Adam can be your alternate.
It'll take away from my steelhead fishing time, but no, I'm kidding. Yeah, I can do it.
All right.
I couldn't remember, isn't this something that we always do at the beginning of the year too? And I couldn't remember.
Probably.
yeah, and
Yeah.
and
We do the
reorganization.
PSATs.
At the
Yeah,
reorg.
reorganization.
We do the PSATs every year.
I don't know if
I
we
don't
do
remember
PML.
PML.
Okay.
Yeah, I've done it the last couple years, but
Well, yeah, I'd
Other
appreciate
end,
any
other
tips or
it's-
anything like that.
they run a good meeting,
All right. Much better than PSAT.
There's fewer resolutions,
yes.
Okay,
a lot fewer.
good.
They're very focused and very detailed in their resolution.
All right, so I'll get the packet then.
All right, so by consensus, staff, Dustin is our voting delegate, and Adam is drafted as his alternate. So we can follow. Can you close the loop with them on that?
Yeah, I'm not sure if a manager can be,
Oh, can be an alternate?
right, or primary or anything, so. we have to review
If he can be the alternate, he'll be the alternate. If not, we won't have one. All right, CA2H, email from Michelle Black dated July 27th, 2025 regarding First Avenue road work. Everyone will recall that I brought this up a couple meetings ago. My frustration was the lack of flaggers and traffic control. We got the answer to why that was the case. And my understanding is that this is the stormwater bid and the repaving bid are separate bids that do include, am I correct? They do include traffic control?
Yes, it's only resurfacing, there's no stormwater.
Okay, that thing with the stormwater that was just done for.
Yeah, so our crew does the work on the storm before this resurfacing contractor comes in. The one that was at the end of Struble in that intersection, that was part of the water. They had to replace that stormwater pipe because of the new water line that was going in.
Right.
And it was discovered there was virtually no cover over that pipe. So the reason why it was delayed till after the contract was basically done with the water line was because we had to come up with an engineered solution that would work. And then we had to get the pipe material. The contractor came back and did that. And he did that within 1 week. I mean, they did it all. They did the pipe itself, and then they paved one half of the road and then the other half of the road, and it was all done within 1 week.
Yeah, that worked out pretty well.
Yes.
My frustration was exactly what was outlined in the email, and that was during the water authority
Yes.
work. There was no traffic control. I had the same experience, people coming different directions and nobody doing anything. We found out why that was the case.
Right.
And that's subsequently been addressed in the paving bid, right? So when we get
Oh,
to.
yeah, our Hawbaker got the bid, and
Okay.
they've done work, you know, they've done a lot of work in this area. They've done this type of work with the curb replacement in the township in years past. I've personally worked with Hawbaker for the last 20-some years. Construction's not easy, but they know what they're doing. They always have flagger crews, and their operation is stellar compared to.
The issue was traffic control.
Yes.
And that's the issue that was brought out in the email.
Right.
And that's included in the bid.
Yeah, right. I mean, again, it's not going to be easy because they do have to remove the curb on each side of the road at a time. And while you have machinery in there and people cannot get into their driveways,
Yeah.
they have to go somewhere. So they're going to be asked to park on the street. That's why we're going to permit a day closure, because we're going to have machine on one side, potentially parkers who aren't moving their cars on the other side. after that's said and done, and again, it's a rather quick operation. They dig it out, they'll prep it, and they'll be putting that curb back in within days. And then the only thing is it has to cure, and then people can get back into their driveways. Then they'll reverse the other side.
Now, I went through that on J Lane 2
Yes,
summers ago.
yes, you did.
And they did an outstanding
Yes.
job. And I think everyone is open and willing to accept that. It was the complete and lack of traffic control all of the other times.
Right, and that was the
And that's
sad
the
part.
concern
is-
expressed in the email.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that folks on First Avenue understand that will not be the case.
Yeah, that contract is done. We actually had the final walkthrough today. So it is a completely different contractor. This is a resurfacing contractor.
Yeah, that was a free-for-all.
Yeah, and we struggled at staff level too, because we did our best.
Okay.
Well, my understanding too was there was concern because if that project hadn't had traffic control and had sort of worked out that way, what did that mean about this next project? And how did the two relate if they did? And Ms. Black is on the line, so she may add comment.
Well, that was the one issue. There was a couple others identified in the email. I don't know if others had questions.
Yeah, the only other question, or the particular concern I had was about the students. That the morning routes, the work would not start until the morning, but it might go through the afternoon, and then the only mention is, speak with your students, but is there an arrangement with the school district, and do they have a formal plan so that the students will know what they're supposed to do and the driver knows, so?
Yeah, we always communicate with the transportation office of the actual schedule, so they're aware of it. I can't guarantee it won't happen.
Right.
It typically never does. I think in one time in the 30-some years I've been doing this, we had a time where the weather kept the contractor from being able to finish before the end of the day.
So the goal is to get it done before the,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yes.
okay, that
And
helps.
if there's no machinery breakdown, et cetera, there will be no reason why they can't get it all done and finished and opened before the end of the day.
Great.
I do believe up on, when we did J Lane and Patrick Circle, they actually still could let the buses through. It was a straight shot, so the students were allowed to, get off, and then the contractor kind of stopped for the time being, and the students got to where they needed to go up in the yards, because there's no sidewalks out there, or at least up Patrick there wasn't. But yeah, again, it's not intended, but I can't say it won't happen. I just want people to be aware that if they see the equipment during the day, they might be finishing up. It might be one small crew doing some cleanup of the area as they're getting out, but the paving itself should be done.
Thank you.
Yeah, that contractor did a really good job there, so just wanted to make that clear. That's 2 different projects, 2 different specs,
yes.
2 different contractors.
Yes.
Shouldn't see the same traffic control issues that we saw
No,
the
you
first
should not
time.
at all.
And that contractor has experience working around school buses and that.
Yes.
And past experience, they've done quite well.
Yes.
Okay, any other questions on that one? All right, Michelle, you've heard the discussion.
Yeah, I have questions about parking. If we're allowed to park on the opposite side of the street, but no traffic's gonna be able to get through, that's not really a viable option. So are we gonna be required to park down Rhodes or Bush Avenue and have to walk the entire way to our car, especially while we're waiting for these curbs to dry or whatever over 7 days?
So, yeah, it's typically not 7 days. That can be, but usually it's about 3 to 4 days. But on the outside chance, again, that it doesn't cure properly or in the time that we want, we put it on. We did this last year on Haymaker, and I know there's not as much traffic as there is, but the residents parked on the opposite side. The contractor, which was Hawbaker, was able to get in, do their curbing. People were able to leave when they needed to leave. They got back. Hawbaker is pretty accommodating as needed. This is a much longer stretch, we recognize that. So, I can't say it won't have a few hiccups, but I really don't anticipate this. I think there are enough options on the opposite sides of the road for those people who are displaced from their driveways.
So are we only going to be displaced if they're in front of our driveway? Is that, so the whole road won't be closed? Is that
Yeah,
what you're
so,
saying?
so what happens, the milling process takes up the whole road, one lane at a time. You're not displaced from your driveway, the only inconvenience is when they are actually in front of your driveway. They come back and they'll scratch coat a small layer the next day or the following day, same thing. It's a smaller amount, it cures fast. You might see maybe 20 minutes that you can't get on your in your driveway. Once they start the dig out, that's the process. They have a train, they basically are gonna mill it from one end to the other, so it's a train that just keeps moving down the roadway, and then they prep it behind it. That's when you can't be in your driveway for roughly a week, because they're gonna have to dig it out, they prep it, and then the concrete goes in and has to cure. So that's the time you're gonna have to park on the opposite side of the road, in the vicinity of your driveway. You should be able to, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, Michelle,
Yeah, go ahead.
we lived through this 2 summers ago, and I have to tell you, since if you're not parking on the street permanently, the inconveniences were minimal, really minimal. If you're not storing your car on the street, if you're storing your car on the street, you have another level of accommodation you have to make. So I just share that our experience in our neighborhood, just 2 streets up, was actually pretty positive.
Okay.
And of course, weather is a factor, that's a variable.
Yeah.
And ours did get pushed back a week because of weather, but everybody knew. Notices were put out, so.
Do we know which week they're gonna do that we won't be able to park in the driveway?
Absolutely, yes. As of now, the contractor should be letting me know next week if we'll start milling. The following week is week of the 18th. As soon as we get that firm date, we post it on the website. The contractor's also very adept at, going door to door and knocking on doors to let people know. And, they've done it in the past. Our crew will also help if needed to make sure that the word gets out. But we've been posting stuff on the website, and pushing it out through social media.
Yeah.
And that helps as well.
Is there that push notification that we have that goes out, so
Yes.
things like that too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and if the schedule changes, we post it immediately. Because again, things happen, weather changes, and we do get equipment that will break down occasionally, but we make sure we push that out. And it's always on the front page, so that you don't have to go searching for it.
Okay, and then the trash collection, if there is a disruption, and say we miss the week because something happens, what are we gonna do about the extra trash we have because we're getting charged for this?
Well, I don't have a true answer on that one. The problem we have, I think, this year is that we have a new hauler, and we don't know their schedule. In the past, we were able to get word, and they are copied. Center County and Center Region are copied on the letter. They will be told of when the schedule is. We used to be able to request that those routes be picked early, so that they're basically through before the contractor starts. I don't have any control over that at this point. When we did the work with the water line, I actually moved carts because they couldn't get through. I pulled the carts up, they dumped them, and then they backed up and went up on Matilda. Hawbaker has done that in the past as well. And if they see the carts, they'll drag them down to the trash truck and take them back. So I can't say it won't be flawless, but I have no control over this contractor.
That particular area gets served middle afternoon right now, around 2 o'clock. So if we made a request, it may be ask them to come later instead of earlier.
That may,
because they're already coming late.
Right.
Recycling is first thing in the morning, trash is around 2 o'clock.
Right.
So it might be easier for them to push that road back an hour or two.
Yeah, and I've actually even always asked the contractor, we know the trash day is X. In this case, it's Tuesdays, if I'm not mistaken. If possible, please don't do the work that day. But again, we have to do what we do. I mean, the weather will dictate it. They have other jobs they have to do. They'll accommodate us if they can. Because they don't want the headaches either, but sometimes push comes to shove and we just have to do it.
All right, so we're aware of the challenges. We'll do what,
Okay.
communicate what we can, and if something happens, we'll deal with it.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. All right, last item that we pulled was CA3D, Mid-State Literary Council sponsorship request for a spelling bee.
Yeah,
We have a suggestion?
I think we did this last year for $500. Adam would have remembered exactly what we did, but I think it was 500.
I'm good with that. Anyone else?
I'm good with that.
Rich? How's that sound, Katie? Can we follow up with them on that?
Yeah, I'm confident, I'm sure that
It's 500.
Okay. So with action taken on those remaining three, we'll authorize staff to follow up accordingly. All right, therefore the chair will entertain a motion to accept those three remaining consent agenda items.
So moved.
Second?
A second?
Seconded by Susan. Any comments, questions for action? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All consent agenda items are now accepted. That takes us to old business.
Mr. Chair, just quick comments. CA2A, no pickleball in Center Hills.
Yeah.
Was that the deal breaker?
I don't know,
We don't know, do we?
but, I mean, we only had the small piece of it, but if they're pulling ours, that sounds like the overall project. So,
It seemed to be the contentious issue with the land development plan.
yeah, yeah,
Unfortunately, the person who could answer that has probably left.
yeah. And then just a question to staff for 2F and 2G. It seemed like two public works items. Have we or will we follow up with the citizen residents?
2F and 2G.
Fogelman and Mount Airy Road.
Mountain View.
I can, I wasn't aware of it actually, so.
And that's,
Yeah,
I
that's-
wondered if you might not have seen this, and so
Yeah,
that,
that's what I was
Yep.
wondering, right. No, we can do that.
great. That's all I have, Mr.
Wasn't
Chair.
Fogelman just a thank you letter, basically?
It was just- He does have one comment at the bottom of it, but it was primarily a thank you,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Okay. Now it takes us to old business. OB1,
Yeah.
PSU signage, remand to PC. We have a very, I think, useful and accurate memo outlining the two options that we kind of settled on in a somewhat informal meeting that Susan and I, or formal meeting that Susan and I had with staff and Penn State, and then we did have a brief discussion about this under other matters, I think at our last meeting.
Yeah, I missed the last meeting, but I heard of the discussion.
Yeah, so this isn't entirely new to us, and the memo is pretty consistent with what we kind of settled around the last time this group had that discussion.
Yeah, this is, that was a good introduction. As a result of those meetings and those discussions, we prepared this draft remand for you to look at. The intent is to request the Planning Commission to undertake a closer look at our sign regulations as specifically as they apply to event centers, arenas, stadiums, so forth. We did meet with Penn State Athletics, and they stated they can't meet the current regulations that we have regarding signage, especially when it comes to branding and some other things that, they're starting to kind of get involved in a little bit more with the upgrades to Beaver Stadium. We spoke about options or solutions that we could come up with, and those are outlined in the memo. So the request ultimately to the Planning Commission, if this is okay with council, would be to either amend Chapter 170, which is our sign ordinance, to increase the signage allowance for large-scale entertainment venues, which would apply township-wide, and may have a future benefit as the township continues transitioning to a hybrid form-based code in Dale Summit, thinking about larger uses coming into town that may need this type of accommodation for signage. Or consider amending the signage regulations specifically to the University Plan District, or the UPD, which currently all of these facilities fall into. So there are some options there, and we're just asking council if you feel this draft remand is adequate in the request to the Planning Commission.
All right, well, let's start with Susan and I, because we're a little bit more familiar with this. What do you think?
It's really just a formal question. Do we, in the remand, have to specifically ask or say another option is no change? Or is that something that goes as part of the sort of understanding that PC would have that? Or do they need that in the remand from council?
I mean, we could do the do nothing option, or just, note when we make the presentation to Planning Commission that that is always an option to do nothing. Whichever you prefer.
Then I would add also that should Planning Commission find some blend of those two or hybrid of those two, but you leave that possibility open in this remand in the sense that we're just saying on possible sign ordinance revisions based on initial reviews, there appears to be two potential paths. We're not really saying pick one of these two. We're just giving them a jumping off point.
And I think two potential paths forward for change, or
Yeah, I mean, really, two potential courses of action,
or no
an
change at
alternate-
this time.
Right, an alternate course of action.
Those were the two most obvious paths that came to mind in discussions with them. And it wasn't just trying to meet their needs as much as it was us saying, well, gee whiz, when we crafted our sign ordinance, we didn't really think about big stadiums. We were thinking about traditional commercial retail establishments.
Right.
So we don't really have a tier for that, and that's what we're talking about. Do we want to put a tier in township-wide, or do we just want to look at that zoning district and say, we'll just change the sign ordinance for that zoning district?
Yeah.
And there's benefits, pros and cons to each.
To both, yeah. Yeah, I agree, and we can definitely point that out to the Planning Commission too.
And I one of the things that you just brought out, it is an issue about signage, but it's also a bigger issue about buildings and venues and the kinds of things that we do have in the township. We're not having that discussion specifically, we're having it as a result of the signage request, which I think is important. So
it sounds like we're okay with this as drafted, with the understanding that we would like to, we're offering up two potential starting points for discussion.
And I would like to include some language that references that a third option is to not make a change at this time, if that's something that needs to be called out. If it's not, if it's just an assumption as part of the PC's review of everything, but if it's not something that's called out, could that be?
I think it could be, and I think it would be consistent with other remands in the past, giving that option to just do nothing at this time.
Or some hybrid.
Yeah, okay,
Hybrid.
so yeah, so.
And traditionally,
hybrid.
the remand is sent to me then before it goes to Planning Commission.
Correct.
Unless it's a complete rewrite. In this case, if folks are comfortable, staff will send this to me, or do we need to see it again at a meeting?
If you're comfortable with me making those slight changes to the text, I can just send it off to you if council's prepared, or is okay with that, and then we can move it forward to the Planning Commission.
What say you guys? Are you guys okay with that, or do we need to bring it back to it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it, but when you reword it, you really, that's your first screening question right off the bat, right? Is, make a recommendation on changing the signing ordinance, period, right? And then come down into these potential paths forwards if you are coming with a recommendation, right? That's initially what we're asking them to do. Isn't that not,
Yeah.
That's a way to structure it, to get what
Yeah.
what we're concerned about, because the first answer could be no.
And I liked the way you phrase it, because I think it speaks to that broader issue, is this something we're going to do? But, and rather than offer it as an equal third option, I think that's a better way to do it.
Hybrid.
Like, because that gets them scoped in initially saying, okay, do we need a change, do we not need a change? And if we need a change, then we want you to kind of go down these paths, right, to consider these paths.
The only pitfall with that is, let's say it comes back and, no, we don't think you should do anything, and
Well,
council feels differently.
Yeah, I hope they would give us some, you know,
Well,
some
yeah,
more
we would
information on
require-
why.
Yeah, we would
Yeah,
require-
tell us why.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but then, council may still not
Yeah.
agree, but,
And that would stretch the process out a little longer.
right.
But I do think that would be the fair conversation to have, because we haven't had that conversation specifically. and
As a
said-
group.
Right, as a council.
Right,
yeah.
So I think we would defer that to PC, at least to get us started, and if there is a disagreement, then we would have to be more specific.
joint meeting.
Yeah, you're right. If we were dead set on making a change, we
Right.
would have that as an agenda item, and then we would craft the remake
Right,
around that.
right, right.
Right, yeah.
Well, that leaves that possibility open. I think it's sending it back to PC with the way Dustin's wording it, or recommending the structure. I think that makes good sense.
All right, so I'm sensing that everyone's fine with Lindsay taking a shot at rewriting that, sending it to Susan and I, and then just forwarding it on to Planning Commission to start the process as soon as possible. You know, depending on what's in their queue.
Right, I did note that we could have it back to council by your October 2nd meeting. Is that acceptable?
Acceptable to us.
Yeah, I mean,
How
we
much?
have some plans coming up. You know, it's a form-based code each agenda, but
Yeah, I think we could offer that as a goal, and then in their first review of the remand, they can say whether it's feasible. You know,
sounds good.
I like that, because this is not something that needs to be dealt with for this season, so.
Yeah, we have received an application for some signage at Beaver Stadium that fits, as we discussed at that meeting, that does fit the ordinance. Mark just went over that carefully, and we'll be returning, letting them know any deficiencies and then moving forward. So they are able to do something now without this change.
All right, so how about a motion to remand to Planning Commission, or for staff to revise the proposed remand accordingly, and then forward it on to Planning Commission? Anybody want to make that motion?
So moved.
So moved. Do I have a second?
so second.
All right. Again, this is action item. I don't see anybody looking to make comment before we take a vote, so I'll call the question. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Remand in the queue. That takes us to new business, SC, only one item tonight, SCRA/Breeze Airways contribution. Again, we did kind of grease the skids with this during other items last meeting. I think staff's memo is right in line with the direction that we informally provided. If so, then the chair will entertain a motion then, and then we can have discussion.
Before you,
Rich?
clarification, this is a pledge towards a potential financial incentive package, not a contribution. Contribution says we're writing the check today and sending it to somebody.
Yes.
So I think the language should be more towards that.
All right, so what would be the, you know,
Right,
what-
because it only comes through if they actually do it,
Right.
right? Yeah.
similar to what we did before with
Right,
the Charlotte issue.
right.
So it's Bellefonte Borough and Benner Township have pledged a contribution?
I don't know what they've done.
Okay.
I'm just saying for College Township's
Got it.
standpoint,
I agree, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't want to just hand them a check, and then they say, okay, we decided not to. Thanks for your
or
money.
whoever the leading, or the CBICC, hey, we're gonna write you a check for $5,000 to go chase this, and then it never happens.
Yeah.
That would be the concern. I don't think that's the intent, but the words need to follow that intent.
You're right. I think that was understood during our informal discussion last meeting, that it would be in the form of a pledge, an incentive. All right. Would someone like to move that council authorize the manager to pledge $5,000 as a possible contribution from College Township towards the Breeze Airways proposal?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, now do we have any discussion, any question on the motion? Again, looking online and in the room before I take action, not seeing anyone needing to offer comment. All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. That concludes what I believe will be our action items tonight. Takes us to staff informatives, of which there are 5. Would staff like to provide any additional information on any of those? Does council have any questions on any of those? Then that'll take us to council, staff, and other matters. Looking to my left, anything, Dustin, under that? To my right, Susan or Rich? Staff, anything under other matters? Outstanding. All right, then nothing left except to adjourn. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
We are adjourned.
Thank you.